Welcome to Micro-Histories. I'm your host, Jason Bischoff-Wurstle for the New Haven Museum. And this month of December, we're taking 5 and stopping by the 9 and Armada Brewing to celebrate a little holiday cheers. Join us as we learn about Cafe 9 and its surrounding neighborhood, and then head on over to Armada and learn a little bit about River Street and the Yale Brewing Company. So let's go. Cheers. Happy holidays. Here we are in the 9th Square, at the corner of Crown and State Street, at 250 State Street to be exact, the home of Cafe 9, which is New Haven's quintessential corner bar. One of the last of its kind as a shot and beer bar. Cafe 9 is the type of place where on any given night you can rub shoulders with world famous musicians and or just have a date, catch up with friends, see a band that either your friends are playing in or whatever. Cafe 9 began its current iteration in 1990. The building dates back to the late 1880s, where this sat in the heart of New Haven's dry goods district. Located within a close proximity to Long Wharf, the railroad, and prior to that, the Farmington Canal, which all runs parallel to State Street here. This area was a dense neighborhood of what we'd call mixed use today, of mom and pop shops, and again, as I mentioned, dry goods. So meaning all the basic materials you need for your pantry, and also other materials for your house, furniture as time went on, centered here in this area, along with a grouping of small factories. The neighborhood itself was fairly working class. Cafe 9 typifies the type of small, hole-in-the-wall tavern that was spread throughout the city at one point, literally on every corner in some neighborhoods, where people would just go and blow off some steam and enjoy themselves in the camaraderie of their friends and local patrons. A wonderful thing to do kind of in the holidays when you just want to go and relax after a long day of shopping or working. From 1891 to 1936, this location was as records show, a small liquor store and kind of grocery store, again, fitting in with the dry goods area. In 1936, a man named E.F. Stevens occupied this area and used it as a barber shop and cosmetics store. From 1967 to 1972, there was a small thrift shop that was later followed by the Zoom restaurant, which was known as a hip, countercultural coffee shop, fitting in with the times, the late 60s and early 70s. This leads us to the beginning of Cafe 9's history. In 1972, Michael Reichbart bought the building and opened the Blue Bart's Cafe. Blue Bart's Cafe kept in the tradition of the shot and beer bars, inexpensive places that were labeled throughout the city. So why don't we take a walk inside, get cozied up, and find out a little bit more about Cafe 9. Named as a combination of Reichbart's preference for wearing all blue at the time and his last name, Blue Bart's quickly developed a diverse group of regulars. A person's color, sexual orientation, or beliefs didn't matter to Michael. He and his staff greeted everyone with a smile and a drink. In 1974, Reichbart bought the entire building and began to book local rock, doo-wop, and a cappella groups to play several nights a week. Reichbart sold Blue Bart's in 1984, only to reacquire it in 1990. The interior stucco walls were chipped off to reveal the bricks underneath. The old bar was rehabbed, and the stage was expanded. Reichbart removed the second front door to accommodate the new, larger stage. The address became solely 250 State Street, and Cafe 9 was born. In 2003, after a chance meeting at the bar, Paul Mayer and a group of friends bought Cafe 9 from Reichbart and his wife Maureen. They kept the traditions of the local bar intact, while at the same time expanding the range of musical acts that play there 7 days a week. Incorporating jazz, blues, rock, and hip-hop into the schedule, Cafe 9 became regionally and nationally known as the musician's living room. Paul has continued over the last 20-plus years to innovate, adapt, while keeping true to the business's roots. Popular draws like the Jazz Jam or Beatnik 2000 continued from the 1990s to the 2010s, and there's been countless highlights of phenomenal gigs played on this small window stage, both local, national, and groups that were just getting their start that today will play arenas around the world. And all the while you're sitting on a bar stool, you could be hanging out with the musicians or their bandmates and roadies. In 2010, Cafe 9 was renovated to create brand new sightlines, an updated sound system, and allowed this room to be arguably the best room for music of its size in southern New England. This beam girder was placed here, removing an old wood beam to create a whole new structural support, and the bar, which used to be right about here, was removed, shortened, and updated, made a little cozier. And the result is a very comfortable, very rich experience at the musician's living room. This has helped to pack the room and bring the Elm City community of music lovers together here in the Ninth Square time and time again. In the last few years, Cafe 9 has stayed alive, stayed open, and continues to operate as New Haven and the Ninth Square are changing and morphing into something brand new. Because that's it. At a core, Cafe 9's a survivor, and at a core, it's still the type of place you want to come in. Built on the expansive former oyster fields from this area's first industrial boom, Bigelow Boilers was constructed here on River Street and became a Silicon Valley of sorts for New Haven, with wide open country out here at that point, as Hobart Bigelow moved his company from a foundry on Whitney Avenue to here, River Street, where the campus was expansive and allowed to continue to grow. And down the middle of the street here on River Street, there were local railroad spurs, which meant anything they produced got loaded right up and right onto the railroad and distributed across the nation. From an older classic to a brand new classic of 2022, here we are at Armada Brewing, which just opened up this year. Founded in 2017, Armada is made a home here in what they affectionately call the Castle on River Street, bringing life back to this area that was once bustling with activity. So let's head on inside and see what happens. Armada Brewing was founded in 2017 by John Krasinski. They were originally based in the Beer Axe in East Haven, where they grew in a DIY fashion to eventually distribute all throughout Connecticut and New England. They first came to here, their home here in the old Bigelow campus, in one of the remaining buildings, this year, but first entered here in 2021 into this derelict building they took over to adapt into what is known now as the Castle. So you can come down and be a part of this brewing universe as it grows. Similar to the ingenuity of the boiler making and the cutting edge tech of 100 years ago, now we're seeing the ingenuity and the moving forward of a new classic in New Haven in 2022.
It was quite a bit of work to get it done. The entire time it was really cool because you got to see these artifacts of the history of the building while we were doing demo in certain areas and constructing it, finding cool little knickknacks and little remnants of the past. And as we got to build it out too, learning about the history of it from people who would see us doing construction and saying, "Oh, I used to work there," or "My grandfather worked here," and people calling us and learning that we were preserving one of the last buildings of the Bigelow history.
So here at Armada, we're going to take a quick look at River Street, which was once a hotbed of 19th century high-tech industrial icons. Built on the abandoned oyster fields of Fairhaven's first industrial boom, Bigelow Boilers became one of the largest steam boiler manufacturers in the United States. In 1860, Hobart B. Bigelow took over a division of the Wilcox Foundry and Machine Company, which was located on Whitney Avenue, overlooking the Farmington Canal. He invested heavily in crafting metal parts for cutting-edge commercial technology in the early days of large-scale gold mining and oil drilling. His most successful products, however, were industrial heating boilers. In 1869, Bigelow moved the metalworks from Whitney Avenue to a new expansive site here on River Street in Fairhaven. This area was optimum and conducive to large-scale, modern operations due to the waterfront access, flat open space, proximity to the railroad, with spur lines running directly down River Street to the new factories. This was combined with flush coffers of post-Civil War startup investment capital and a growing local residential population that provided a perfect combination of both skilled and unskilled workers to cover all the operational bases. In 1870, Fairhaven officially rejoined New Haven as well. Bigelow's financial and political fortunes continued to grow. He was elected mayor of New Haven in 1879 and served until 1881, when he was elected the 50th governor of Connecticut. In 1883, he left office and refocused solely on his manufacturing company. It was in that same year he founded the National Pipe Bending Company here on River Street, adjacent to the boiler company, to complement it by producing the necessary piping and parts in a separate operation. Bigelow passed away in 1891. His companies continued to thrive well into the 20th century, with the height of production and growth for both River Street complexes, peaking during World War I. While National Pipe Bending diversified in the mid-20th century and made consumer products like home hot water heaters, the fortunes of both companies continued to decline into the 1980s, when they were merged and then shortly thereafter closed their operations here on River Street. At the end of River Street stands the old Quinnipiac Brewery. The Quinnipiac Brewing Company was founded in 1872 by German Americans Peter Schleppmann and William Spittler. They mainly produced German-style lager at a time when large-scale production of beer in the United States first boomed. The brewery's 6-story height is indicative of the success and investment they put into their business. The brewery facilities had modern large refrigeration units, unseen at that time, and a full bottling operation, again with the easy railroad access to distribute, similar to Bigelow. In 1902, they became the Yale Brewing Company, which was not related to the college and university, but a convenient use of the name. In 1920, with the beginning of Prohibition, the brewery came to a grinding halt and abruptly shut down, along with other smaller brewing operations across New Haven and New England. After Prohibition, the brewery did come back online for a decade, before closing and becoming a warehouse until the 1970s, when after it was converted to apartments that overlook the Quinnipiac River. For the New Haven Museum, I'm Jason Bischoff-Wurstle, and this has been Micro-Histories. Thanks for tuning in this year. It's been a blast. We look forward to seeing you again in 2023. Let us know what you want to see. And happy holidays. Enjoy yourself. Cheers.